After a while, she's like, Alexis? I'm like, yes. And she's like, this is blood.
Hello and welcome to the latest episode of the Bad Times, Good Stories podcast. My name is Joe Flanders. I hope you're having a great week. I think it's going to get a lot better because this week on the show, I talk with Alexis G. Zall. We are talking about some bloody sexual situations we each separately found ourselves in. I don't think it's particularly gross. It's more just awkward and funny. But I really appreciate Alexis coming on. If you are new to the show, basically I talk each week with a different guest about an awkward, embarrassing, or straight up bad time from their life that they're able to laugh about. And I think it's a lot of fun. It's very cathartic. And I hope you enjoy it. If you do enjoy it, feel free to give us that 5-star rating on iTunes. It's greatly appreciated. You can also check out badtimesgoodstoriespod.com for past episodes, merch, and a link to the Patreon page. Or you can email me at badtimesgoodstoriespodcast@gmail.com and share a bad time that made a good story for you. Again, I'm really excited to have Alexis on. She's doing some great work both online and on the TV. You can watch her on The Goldbergs on Fox. She also has her own podcast called Zall Good, which you should definitely check out, as well as her YouTube channel and social media pages. I first met Alexis probably 4 or 5 years ago while we were filming my web series, Average Joe. She was probably 15 at the time and really funny, very sweet person. And I've enjoyed kind of watching from a distance as her career is really starting to take off. So I really enjoyed chatting with Alexis. I hope you enjoy the conversation too. And without further ado, here is my conversation with Alexis G. Zall. So, Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. It's 2019.
Yes. How you feeling about it?
Really good.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm feeling good. I set a lot of intentions for this year, and I feel like so far I'm doing a good job of executing them, which is, I feel like, the best feeling of being a human. Is being like, I'll do this, and then doing it.
What are some examples?
So a big thing for me was I have a tendency to always assume that everyone else knows more than I do. And so just kind of realizing that there are certain things that I get and that if I provide my opinion on, like mostly like work stuff, like there's a lot of parts of the industry that I am still learning about, but then there are parts that like I get. And if I provide my opinion, it is value added. So it's kind of like embracing speaking up for myself. And it's been great so far. Yeah, just like acknowledging that you also know things. Yeah, exactly. How about you? Any resolutions, intentions?
Not a damn one.
Yeah. Are you like a New Year's cynic type of person?
No. I honestly just forgot. I did tell myself I was going to start going to the gym.
Gotcha.
But I haven't paid somebody for the privilege of feeling guilty that I haven't gone to the gym yet. I feel like I've done that before where I like sign up for the gym membership, go twice, and then, they make it incredibly difficult to get out of it. So
do you currently have a membership or no membership?
I don't.
Okay, so that's kind of like your loophole.
Yes, exactly.
Yes, at least you're not paying for the membership you're not using.
My big goal is to examine whether or not I'm going to stay in LA, I think.
Ooh.
Yeah.
What's the alternative?
Going back home to Ohio.
Gotcha.
Which, up until this, so I was home for 3 weeks over Christmas. And every other time I go home, I'm always like, all right, this was fun. I'm ready to get the hell out of here. And this time, I was like, oh, everything doesn't have to be hard.
Yeah, you were like, I finally get the middle of America. Like, just not trying, like, not pulling out of your parking garage being like, ugh, like the hardest part. Yeah.
Yeah, most
Everything
definitely.
is hard in LA.
Yeah.
And New York. I'm sure, and probably
city.
like Chicago. Yeah, any big city, everything is just hard.
Right, exactly. And so I don't know, I'm kind of wrestling with that, examining things, deciding what is failure? You know, am I going to be like, oh, I went home and I gave up, and you know, and then it's like, oh, but you know, I'm just like, I didn't even realize that we were at Max and Irma's, which is like a Midwest Applebee's.
Okay.
And I just looked around, and it's just a bunch of very average people, and I was like, oh. I'm surrounded by models all of the time and never realized it.
Yeah,
These are my people.
Yeah, I feel like I've spent a lot of time in Portland, Oregon, and like the surrounding areas because I have family and friends that live there, and like I think that's where I would go if I were to like call it.
Yeah,
you know,
right.
But then I also, isn't there sort of a thing where like once you get to a point where you're super successful, you can live anywhere? So maybe it's that you won. And now you're ready to like go to Ohio.
Exactly.
Power move.
Yes.
Like Nicole Kidman and Keith Urban live in Nashville, which like I guess he is a musician, so that makes sense for him.
Right.
But for her, like just a power move.
Yes.
Yeah.
I basically just need like 2 Oscar noms, and then I can go back to Ohio and feel good about myself.
Exactly. Yeah. And be like, now this is where I live. I bring things come here. If they need to happen, they come here.
Damn straight.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So that seems doable. I'll go for Best Supporting Actor and Sound Design.
Great.
I don't do sound design, but
yeah, I mean,
you
got this podcast, so like maybe there's something there. Maybe you just take these mics out and you start recording behind the scenes sound of Oscar movies.
Yeah, I don't know. The possibilities are endless. Apropos of nothing, what did you have in your cup?
A water.
Okay, I wanted to make sure, like, because you asked for a refill, and I just gave you a bottle of water. So if you had like coffee in there or something, you're like, yeah, thanks.
Well, so here's my thing.
Okay.
I'm trying. Another 2019 thing is I'm trying to use less plastic. So
Nice.
that's the reason I
And
didn't
I
jump
failed
on the
you.
water. Well, I was just gonna see like this is about half full.
Okay.
So if I finish it, then I'll crack.
I've got a Brita.
But I'm
gonna refill the Brita right now.
I'm interested in some Brita.
Okay. I'm gonna fill it now.
Nice. I'll take some water.
Yes. Okay. There we go. Now we're talking.
Thank you so much.
Oh.
Amazing. I've been going to a lot of comedy clubs recently. One, because I like it, and two, like a lot of my friends do stand up, and I've started doing some more stand up.
Oh, cool.
And there's, a 2-drink minimum, but I am under 21 and I don't want soda, so I just make them charge me for glasses of water. I'm just like, please just charge me. And they're like, are you sure you don't want a Coke? I'm like, don't make me like drink sugar and like just please let me pay you to be here.
Yeah.
It's been a struggle.
Yeah, those are tough. That's I think we all have. Well, we have friends who are doing stand up, and it's it's like you get those invites to go to like the Comedy Store bringer shows, and it's just like, I don't know if I want to spend like $35 to see you do your 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Again.
Yeah.
It's
like
tough.
I have. Fortunately, all of my friends who do stand up are very funny, and also I'm the demo for them, if that makes sense. Like you go to an open mic, and I'm like, you might be funny, but it's not for me. Like I'm not the target. Like the target is like older men, and like I'm a tiny 20-year-old lesbian. Like we're just on different wavelengths.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I get it. So at what point, I started the show by saying Happy New Year.
Yeah.
How long does one have to say that? Like into a new year?
Ooh, I guess I'm not really the kind of person that's going to like police that. You know how some people are like, oh, it's December 26th and they still have their Christmas lights up.
Right.
Like, what's up with that? I just think like if you are still riding that New Year's vibe, like if you're still feeling happy about a new year, like lean in. Ride
through April,
that.
May,
June. As far as you can ride any sort of like happy blank, go for it. Happy birthday a week beforehand, a month beforehand. I'm not worried about it.
No.
Yeah.
That's okay. That's nice.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm much more petty, I think, than you are.
Got it. You're shut it down.
I would probably question it if we're into like mid-February and I'm getting like a Happy New Year's.
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah.
I mean, I definitely think about it. I'd be like, that's interesting.
I mean, I wouldn't just shun the person necessarily, but I'd be like, I don't know.
Do we need that?
We're like 45 days into it. But then when I say 45 days out of 365, I mean, I guess I could give somebody March.
Yeah, so I guess it depends on like how much math you're doing.
Right.
Yeah, if you're stuck up on the math of it all, then it's going to be kind of easier to let it slide.
Yeah, I think I just need to let those things go and embrace people for who they are.
Sure. Love
Right?
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think
Isn't that
so.
the human goal?
It should be.
Yeah.
It certainly
Let
should be.
things go. Embrace people for who they are.
This is my first episode back for the new year, so a slight recap on the holidays. As far as embracing people for who they are, I I was in a situation where I wish I'd been embraced.
Okay.
So have you ever been to like a white elephant party?
Yes, I have. I was at one this holiday circuit, as a matter of fact.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
What'd you get?
I won. I got a $25 Air One gift card.
That's not bad.
Not bad.
For a white elephant?
Yeah,
I usually
pretty
end up with something that like I could easily just throw away.
Yeah, it was, in my opinion, the best gift there.
Yeah. Where was the card for?
Yeah. Air One, the like fancy organic grocery store. It's like you thought Whole Foods was expensive.
Yes.
It's like a step above.
Okay. So
Yeah.
like $25 gets you like some almond milk and
Exactly.
a pastry or
Yeah.
something.
yeah, pretty much.
Well,
and it was delicious.
Oh, that's good. I'm glad. Well, I went to one, and this was back in Ohio, so I was there with like high school friends that I hadn't seen in a while. It was the great. You're from LA, right?
I've been in LA for like 7 years.
Okay.
I grew up in Arizona.
Oh, okay. Okay, cool. Well, it's always nice when you go home and there's the group event where you see a bunch of people you're really happy to see, but you probably wouldn't meet up one-on-one.
Yeah, that
for
makes
like
sense.
drinks or something. So I was seeing a bunch of people I was really happy to see. It was also a bunch of their significant others. And I was invited the day of, and it was a $10 max for the white elephant thing. So being the classy guy I am, I got toilet paper and condoms.
Okay, nice. The essentials.
Exactly. I went with the prime toilet paper. Because honestly, I get a lot of gifts that I'm not excited about when I do these events. It's a fun time, but I just leave like, what am I going to do with this?
You're burdened.
Yes, exactly. That is my burden. So I thought I'm going to get something practical that will be used. The condoms were more of a joke. It was like Lifestyles brand, and I think they were tropical fruit flavored.
Ooh.
So that seemed more like a
Something
joke.
to spice things up. Yeah. So when you say you got nice toilet paper, what is that to you? Like what? I feel like rich people have Charmin. That's what.
Yes.
Yeah. So what is like your creme de la creme of toilet paper?
I was on the ultra soft Charmin.
Yeah.
Now, as a result of that, I eat peanut butter almost every meal because I am not rich, but I value the finer things, I guess.
Yeah.
But then I found Target has their brand of Charmin Ultra Soft for several dollars cheaper.
Ooh.
Yeah.
So you value the finer things on a budget.
Yeah, exactly. So I believe I got the Charmin.
Great.
And so a significant other of a friend of mine. Now, I haven't talked to any of these people in a while, so it's just, So a significant other of a friend of mine chose my gift. I wrapped it very nicely. She opens it. I've also made it clear that this was from me. I don't know why I should be that proud of it.
Yeah.
She opens it and starts crying
Oh no.
right away.
Oh my God.
And then holds up the condoms and says, "Do you think this is funny?" And I, thankfully, am not a complete psychotic, so I could tell she did not want me to say yes.
Yeah.
So I think my face went white. And then I was, and it turns out she had just had an abortion like a month before and was taking it personally.
Well, you didn't buy the gift for her. It
No.
was a white elephant.
Yeah.
So, and then she chose something.
Right.
Like, right, she chose, were you like, choose that one. You're
No.
going to like that one. This one's for you. But I feel like, I guess maybe like that would just kind of, sting.
Yeah. So,
But not your fault, it
no.
seems. Yeah.
No. And I don't mean to laugh at what she went through. It was just really awkward for me. Never in my wildest dreams would I have thought that's where the story would have, gone.
Ooh, that is definitely what bad times, good story. Yeah. Ooh. That is hard.
So, that put a damper. I mean, nobody else was like really angry at me, but somebody did lean over and gave me the context. And then she like walked away and one of her friends went with her. And then it got really quiet for a second. And then I just thought, well, nice to see everybody. I guess I'll take my, I got some Big League Chew. That was my gift.
Not bad.
Some sort of Victoria's Secret face mask.
Ooh, pretty good.
Which I would never get myself.
Yeah.
A little pampering for
That's
myself.
a sign of a good gift, something you would never get yourself.
Exactly. And some sort of back massage beads of some kind that everyone thought were anal beads. So that was an interesting night.
Well, I'm sure anything can be anal beads if you put it up your butt.
That's true. That's a very good point. But other than that, I'd say it was a great holiday season. I was just enjoying being at home, seeing the family, and what have you. But speaking of Christmas and family, you found yourself in a precarious hookup situation at a party, right?
I did, yes.
How's that for a segue?
Yeah. Not bad. So speaking of your parents, sure. Okay, so picture this.
Okay.
It is the summer. So the summers are crazy. We've all been in summer. You know, you never know. And I had recently come out and recently experienced like some variations of heartbreak. It's just a confusing time. You know, you're like, I'm gay. What's going on? How do I date women? It's just like a lot's going on. Lots of feelings.
Sure. What was the heartbreak?
Well, it wasn't even just like one person. It was just like a culmination of confusing situations.
Okay.
And I think also I had like dated guys before then, and dating guys was really easy for me because I didn't like them.
Oh.
And so like it was sort of like a big slap in the face when I started dating girls, and I would be like, oh my God, like, is she gonna text me? Like, should I text her? Like, what? It was just like all of those feelings kind of for the first time.
You were actually like invested in...
I was invested, yeah. So it wasn't even like, oh, this one person. Like it was just a time of big feelings.
And how old were you at this point?
I was 18. I just turned 18.
So a couple years ago.
Yeah, a couple years ago. And so I went to a lot of house parties, as you do in the summer as a youth.
Oh, yeah.
And I went to this party with two of my friends. We'll call them Pineapple and Mango.
Terrific.
Yeah.
Fake
So
names.
thank you so much. Yes. So Mango has had a boyfriend for a long time at this point, and sort of like a settled down monogamous relationship. And then Pineapple and I are big party girls.
Okay.
So we are like wild now. And this girl at the party comes over to my friend Mango, who has a boyfriend, and she's like flirting with her. And I'm like, you know what? She doesn't need that. I need that. So I walk over and I kind of like start talking to this girl. And so we hit it off. We're just like flirting, talking about basically nothing. And then after 20 minutes or so, her friend comes over and she's like, we have to leave the party, to the girl I was talking to. And I was like, oh, okay, like great chatting with you. Nice to meet you. I'm going to go to the bathroom. And the girl I was talking to says, I'm going to come with you. Oh. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, just so you know, like, I am going to pee. Like, that is my intention. That
This
was
wasn't
not
code.
No, it wasn't code. It was not like a wink sort of thing. I'm like, I have to pee. So she's like, okay, yeah, no worries. So we go into the bathroom. I pee, wash my hands. We start hooking up. It's like dark. I don't really know like quite what's going on. We're hooking up on the bathroom sink. And then after like a pretty short period of time, the girl's friend like starts knocking on the door like, dude, we have to go. Like we're leaving. And so the girl in the bathroom like flips the light on, calls an Uber from the bathroom and leaves the party. And so I'm like, whoa, that was wild. That was crazy. So I leave the bathroom and I'm wearing this like little white strappy like slutty shirt, and I look down and I notice there's like some sort of like spill on it, and I'm like, that's so weird. She must have spilled her drink on me like in the dark. I didn't really notice. I feel like I would have, but so weird, like weird situation. And so then I go back over to my friend Pineapple. She's like, what was that? And I fill her in and she's like, nice, like cool. And then I go over to my friend Mango, and she's like, what the fuck is on your shirt? And I'm like, oh, I don't know. Like, something must have spilled on it. Like, I'm not totally sure. And she's like, okay, like, it looks really bad. I'm going to help you clean it up. So she gets, like, a washcloth from the kitchen, is being very mom, like, responsible.
Sure.
And she's, like, dabbing at my shirt, being very sweet. And then after a while, she's like, Alexis? And I'm like, yes. And she's like, this is blood. I'm like, no. Oh my God, what? I wonder where that might have come from.
So it was red. So you were just thinking, oh, maybe this is some Hawaiian punch.
I just expected like a little Hawaiian punch,
sure,
you know?
Yeah.
There had been like some red drinks floating around the party.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought that hard about it.
Sure.
Hadn't really looked that closely. Was a little in a daze. Yeah. So then I like go back into the bathroom and I realize that I had just started my period.
Oh.
And when I really look at like where the spots are, they're kind of like on my boobs. So that is how the red spots got there. And then I told my friend Mango, I was like, we can never tell anyone about this. Like, I'm never talking about this again, and we can never tell anyone. And now I tell it during every time I do stand up. Because it's too good.
I like that you did all this in the dark.
Yeah.
It's like, well, we're in the bathroom. Not the most romantic location. What can we do to sex this up?
Really spice things up. Yeah, it was.
Wait, so
Yeah.
so
Let's
it
get
was
into
on
it.
the red was on your boobs.
It was on my boobs, yeah.
So how did it get
So
up
how
there?
did it get all the way up there? I mean, who could ever put something like that together? Not me. No. It's like usually your period is in a lower location, but maybe like a defying gravity moment. Who knows? Maybe I was cartwheeling everywhere. That's one of life's greatest mysteries, and we'll never, I think, be able to crack that.
No.
No,
There's no way to understand it.
Mm-mm.
So, as someone who's never done a bathroom hookup,
Sure.
was anyone sitting on the toilet? Were you sitting on the sink?
It was
Did
like
you
a
plop
lean.
yourself
It
up?
was a lean against the sink. I think at some point, like someone was sitting on the sink.
Okay.
And I would say it's also like something I have noticed as a queer woman is it's really easy for like two girls to kind of hook up anywhere.
Oh, that's convenient.
Versus like I feel like with a guy and a girl, there's just a lot of business. There's just like a lot. You need like space. But like girls, it's like. You can do like a small confinement. It's sort of like low key, you know.
So, were you able to avoid any other than mango and pineapple?
Sure.
Did anyone else realize this?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
I think I was a little bit like more paying attention to me, so
Sure.
I wasn't like clocking who's looking at this.
Right.
But I will say I found the person whose house it was, and then I was like, "Do you have a tampon?" So she probably put two and two together as to what happened.
Looked at you, looked at the shirt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Like,
got
yep.
you.
But then also my friend who was being very sweet, Mango, she like got it off my shirt actually, which was very clutch.
wow.
Yeah, she just like dabbed at it for like
Just walk
a
around
while.
with a Tide pen.
Yeah, just being very sweet. Very motherly, like really taking care.
I would say so.
Mm-hmm.
Now, was this your first experience with a woman? With a girl?
No.
Okay,
not
because that would be
first.
interesting.
No, yeah, that would be intimidating.
Wow. Well, I definitely had an experience
Yeah.
with blood as well.
Ooh, let's get into that.
Right?
Yeah.
This was in college. And I was a virgin until I was 19. And so I was hoping that would then translate. It was like the summer going into my sophomore year of college.
Sure.
I was like, all right, got it out of the way.
Nice.
Feeling good.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, ladies. And the ladies, they were not around.
Gotcha.
Probably due to my own incompetence as much as anything else. It was just, in hindsight, I feel like I just channeled Zach Braff in Garden State.
Gotcha.
And was just like mopey. And I was
and
like, well.
hoping that they would come to you.
Right, yeah. Which, of course, like, who the hell wants to talk to the mopey guy on a bench outside at the party? Like, oh, he looks like a good time.
Only Natalie Portman.
Right, only.
Yeah.
The only person is a fictional Natalie Portman character listening to the Shins.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, but there was a girl who was a grade or two below me, and she didn't give off the vibe that she bathed all that often.
Got it. Sure. There was
Not
there's sort of a stink.
a light musk of sorts. No, it wasn't.
Just energy.
Yeah, more of just an unkept
Okay.
vibe. I'm not saying like she went a month without showering or something, but you know, sort of was a very much like a t-shirt and sweatpants wear all the time, which not faulting comfort.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
You got to do what feels right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She was a very sweet person, and she seemed to have some interest in me.
Nice.
Yeah. It was pretty cool. So it was a party one night on campus, and we were going to several different apartments, and then I think she may have just said, "Why don't we go back to my dorm room?" And I was like, "I don't see why not." Yeah. Actually, the reason we had to go back to her dorm room is because the three guys that I lived with, our neighbors upstairs had just gotten rock banned.
Ooh, okay.
And they were terrible.
Ugh.
And so we just heard Roxanne over and over and over again.
And badly.
Terribly.
Yeah.
Yes. And so my roommate, who had some anger issues at the time, literally, like, it looked like a Super Mario jump.
Mm-hmm.
And he just punched a hole in the ceiling.
Shut up.
And then all the tiles came down.
Whoa. So you could not have girls over.
No.
Yeah.
No. So then it was like, all right, let's go back to your room.
Mm-hmm.
So we did, and we started fooling around, and I didn't have a condom.
No fruity, tropical flavor.
No.
No, had not been to a recent white elephant.
Had not been to. No, I was sans condom. But, you know, this was my first college hookup.
Mm-hmm.
And I did the thing that many people have done and shouldn't, which was like, it's probably fine. And so we're fooling around, and it's dark again, you know, which makes sense.
Recipe for disaster.
Yes. So then fingers have been inserted.
Sure.
And but it's dark, so I'm not really looking. And then I am inserted.
Mm-hmm. I've heard of it.
And so then, you know, I like look at my finger, and it feels like it's wet or something.
Extra moist.
Yes.
Yeah.
And a common thing that would happen during this process. But then I kind of get a better look, and it seems less like reflective than it does dark.
Yeah.
So then I was like, what's that? And then I realized it was blood on my finger.
Sure.
Which then meant there was blood elsewhere.
Everywhere.
And I freaked out, got out, ejected.
Yeah.
And then I was like, "What? Are you okay? What's going on?" You know, and then she's like, "Oh, I'm just on my period," and didn't make a big deal about it.
Yeah.
And I made a big deal about it because I was like, "I'm not wearing a condom. I could have a disease now," and you know.
But I guess if you have not interacted with many periods before, it can be an intimidating experience.
Yeah. So I was just like, gotta go, bye, and I left. And then I went to an STD clinic the next day and was tested and didn't have anything. And so that it was the blue balls were intense that night. And then, like a year later, I was living in a different place and I had her over. And
kept in touch? What was so in between that year, like what was your relationship with this girl?
Friendly at parties.
Okay, yeah.
You know, we were probably on some film sets together.
Gotcha.
I enjoyed her company. We never addressed, the
Did you feel
faux pas.
it hanging in the air, or did you feel like you didn't need to address it?
I just found that avoiding things was easier for me, and then just let it it would hover there. I could have just said something about it. That was crazy, and then that probably would have been the end of it.
Yeah.
But instead, I just let it hang in the air, and so it would always be kind of hovering.
Yeah.
Because, that was more pleasant. It wasn't. But yeah, so, and in between, nothing had happened. I'd probably told, I think in between, there was a girl who I met on a film set working at a different school, like 40 miles away, and I became infatuated with her, and we went out a couple times as friends. And then I decided that I was going to drive unprompted to her college to tell her how I felt.
Sure,
and,
very movie moment. Yeah.
I lived my life as if it were like a romantic comedy.
Yeah.
I was also heavily into Elizabethtown at the time. Which
yeah.
I'm aware is, even at the time, I was like, this isn't a good movie.
Yeah.
But I like the idea of it.
But I remember seeing Elizabethtown when I was very young and being like, sick. Nice. It seems right. Yeah.
It's just, Kirsten Dunst is the epitome of the Manic Pixie Dream girl.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, but I loved the soundtrack, as Cameron Crowe movies generally have good soundtracks. So I remember just like driving to her school. Like I told my friends, I'm going for it, man. I'm making the move. And I just drove there, chain smoking the whole time. And then I got there and I was like, hey, I hadn't checked with her schedule or anything, so I texted her, and then she's like, "Oh yeah, I'm in class until like 3:00," and it was like 9:30 in the morning.
Oh.
So I was like, "Okay, I got this."
Yeah.
And then I just
Hung
walked
out.
around, freaking out, going over. I probably looked like a crazy person because I was just like going over what I'm going to say and all this and blah. And
How
then
far was the drive?
it was like 45 minutes.
Okay. Not
Yeah, so
like
not-
hours and hours.
No, yeah. And then finally she got out of class, and then we like met outside the dining hall, and instead of like, can we go somewhere and talk? It was just she was in line at the dining hall. There was like people around,
Yeah.
and I was just like, "Hey," she's like, "What's up?" I was like, "I'm into you." And then she was just like, and then everybody else was like, and then kind of looked away.
Yeah.
And then she was just like, "Oh, well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Do you want to get some lunch?" Yeah,
Not
so-
necessarily what you want to hear. Yeah, you wanted like, oh, me too.
She handled it very politely,
Mm-hmm.
and then I was like, "Oh God!" So now I'm just gonna rope it into like a whole awkward meal. Like, how long is this gonna go on for?
Yeah. So did you talk about other stuff after?
Yeah.
How you been? Yeah. Any white elephants recently?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and then we like drove around the campus or something, and then she was just talking about. She kept saying friends, just dropping that in there.
Yeah.
Not even as it pertained to me. Just I was watching Friends the other day, and a friendly game of improv.
Reminded
like all
me
this
of
stuff.
you.
Yeah, exactly. Because that's what we are, right? And only friends. So anyway, I left with it has aspirations, or in my mind, it was like, I'm gonna go back to her dorm room. It's gonna be amazing. And then
Yeah.
it just like drove back in silence. And that had been the highlight of my love life between the years. So then, I called her again. The period girl.
Sure.
We'll call her Strawberry.
Ooh, love the fruit
Theme going, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is pretty anticlimactic. She came over. I remember I was driving back from Charlotte because I had family there, and I was like, I wish I could look at like my old text messages when I was like putting off the vibe that like it's cool or whatever.
Yeah.
I was like, I'll be home in half an hour if you want to stop by, or not, or something. Like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Douchey. And then she came over, and then we like had a couple of beers, and then I had so little interest in her in that way, but it was just it was like, oh, well, that'd be cool. And so I couldn't even get it up. And then she was just like, okay, buddy, well, see you later.
Yeah, yeah.
And then we never really spoke again.
Yeah, just a series of awkward interactions.
And she was also like topless at this point. So, there's nothing worse than the false start.
Sure. Yeah.
When you're like, it's happening. It's not like we were negotiating and then it was like, oh, I just don't think I could do it. It was happening and then it didn't. So yeah, it's interesting to have people in our lives like that where you just have this weird thing with and then you never see again.
Yeah, it is weird. Like I thought this girl from that party, I thought I had saved her number in my phone, but I really wanted to hit her up and do a YouTube video with her and be like, what was your side of that story?
Yeah.
But I did not save her number. So, and I don't even know if I would like recognize her.
Sure.
Yeah. So it's like this weird thing of that is like such a moment in my life.
Right.
But like I don't even know like if I would like literally recognize her if I saw her.
That would be interesting. Like, yeah, at what point did she have blood on her?
I know. I don't know. Like I need to know, but I don't know how I would ever figure that out. I love like addressing stuff like that though.
Yeah.
Like I did this video on my channel recently with so when I was like 16, I was in love with this guy named Luke Corrins. He's a YouTuber.
Okay.
And I just had the biggest crush on him for like a year, and I tried really hard to like get him to date me. Like I pursued him in a very like masculine, forward fashion. And it just like it just kind of like pittered out. But I was like always into it, and so I just always wondered like, and we were friends, we were in like the same friend circles, but we never really like talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we did this video just like discussing it, and it was so like cathartic to just like talking about anything that is weird or like hovers over you is just always so nice.
Oh, it's great.
Yeah, exactly.
Particularly
just,
if you're over it.
Yeah. That really does it. Yeah. Yeah, if it's like something from the past, like hindsight is incredible. Like, and just going back into things that like affected you so greatly, like in the moment, is so cool. I love stuff like that. So yeah, making this video is awesome. I always love to like clear the air.
Yeah.
And I think that is a skill that you learn like as an adult. I think when you're like 14, 15 or just like younger, it's so hard to do stuff like that. And then the more you do it, the easier it gets, and like literally the happier you are, because you don't have these weird things in the back of your mind like, oh, do they still think about that weird, or like, love to clear the air.
I've had several guests on here, girls that I had some sort of crush on or put it out there, and then it didn't go well. And most notably, there was a girl. I made my first feature when I was 20, and it's terrible, but through no part of anyone but my own. I just didn't have anything to say.
Sure.
I didn't know it at the time. But there was a girl who I was crazy about in high school, never told her how I felt. It was clear as day that I did feel this way. I got awkward. It was weird. She ended up playing essentially herself in the movie about a guy who can't tell the girl how he feels.
Yeah.
And anyway, we go like into full detail about all of it, and it was
on
really
the pod?
nice. Yeah,
I love stuff like that.
It's really cringeworthy. Like she kept the love letter that I wrote her.
Wow.
And I sent the DVD. We never addressed like the whole filming. Like clearly this isn't your voice. And and so we talk about the fact that like she of course knew, but she didn't even read the script until the day before we started filming. And she was really angry.
Yeah.
But she signed on to do it, and she's a nice person. So
yeah.
But yeah, she like still has the love letter I wrote, and that was so embarrassing because I was still, the movie, living life like a movie and being dramatic.
Yeah.
I was like, I have to like I have to make up some sort of dramatic context for why I'm sending this letter. So I made up that I was in a car accident, and that like my life flashed before my eyes, and she was in it. It's really embarrassing to read.
Yeah.
But no, it is really cathartic and fun to do.
Oh yeah.
Is there anybody that you haven't maybe made a cathartic video with that you'd like to?
Oh yeah. So I have just like a couple like friends who I've had falling outs with, and also like I think when you're like kind of like in your teen years or like early 20s, I think you're discovering who you are, and like not necessarily everyone that you're friends with is like going to stay in your life forever.
Right.
And so I've had that with a lot of people where like we're not as close as we used to be, but it sort of like makes sense, we grew apart. But then there's a couple of people where I'm like, did something happen? Like, did I say something and I just didn't know? And I would love to like get in there. You know? Do you have anyone left?
There's one person.
Yeah.
Yeah. Who I definitely it was the first like true heartbreak of my life. And it was a very one-sided thing where we were hanging out a lot, but she would always be like, "Yeah, I don't know if I feel that way." And then I would just be like, "You will soon enough."
Gotcha.
And then it was just like, "Oh no, you don't feel that way." And it was like a 3-month thing, and I ended up leaving LA for like, it was supposed to be 2 weeks, and then I was gone for like 5 months.
Just like recovering?
Yeah, I went to like New Orleans for a month because I have friends there, and then I lived with my grandmother in North Carolina for 4 months. Yeah. It was great, actually. And then we were good for like, we got back and kind of had like the postmortem talk about it, and then we were good for a while, and then now we've just kind of lost touch, and there's no like hard feelings there, but I think it'd be interesting to talk about, but at the same time, I don't really want to reach out and then say, "Hey, can we talk about that shitty time?" Because then it's almost like, from her vantage point, just be like, "Dude, let it go." Like, it was, it's just like 5 years ago, Yeah. But yeah, that would be. I feel like it would be good. But I don't know.
I think like stuff like that is really interesting because sometimes it isn't about like how long you were dating or like if you were together. Like sometimes things just hurt, and a lot of times you're mourning the loss of what you thought it would be rather than what it was.
Exactly.
Like I have a friend who recently went through a breakup, and she said something very profound. She's like, "I miss the relationship I wanted us to have. I when we were together, like it wasn't quite there, and it wasn't working towards the end, but there was so like I just wanted more for it, and that's what I miss." Which I think is very profound. Or like yeah, if you go on one date with someone or, you weren't that close of friends with someone, but like it affected you in some way, it's not about the time.
Right. Yeah.
It's about like mourning the loss of where you assumed it was going.
That is profound.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I like that.
Another like kind of embarrassing, sort of along the lines of this, not necessarily embarrassing, but I guess just like bad.
Yeah.
So, my parents and I are really into traveling.
Okay.
Basically, like my parents tried to have more kids, and I'm an only child. And they weren't able to for like bodies. Sometimes
Sure.
shit's crazy.
Yeah.
And so when I was like 6, they were like, you know what, we're gonna stop trying to have more kids, and we're gonna just take our one child and like travel a ton.
Nice.
So that's something that I've been super fortunate to have done like my whole life, which is really cool. And so we travel internationally a lot on Thanksgiving because it's really cheap. 'Cause most people in America are flying domestically. They're like going home to visit their families. So we went to Vietnam for Thanksgiving one year. And as soon as we got there, I got so sick. Like, I just had the worst sinus infection, and I was so miserable, like, the whole time we were there.
Oh.
And I just remember it was around the time I was, like, trying to figure out if I was gay or not. And basically, like, my parents would go out to dinner, and they would, like, do stuff, and I would try throughout the day, but, like, by the time it was night, I was just so dead because I was so sick. And so I would just watch, like, lesbian YouTubers in secret.
Nice.
Just, like, the whole time my parents were gone for dinner, I'd be like, okay, every Rose and Rosie video, like, let's go. And that was, like, a huge part of that vacation for me was, one, I felt, like, so sick, and then, two, like, the constant anxiety that my parents were going to see what I was watching on my computer. Have you had any bad trips or like times where you were like nervous about being caught for something?
Ooh, that's a good question. Nervous about being caught. How long were you there in Vietnam?
We were there for a week.
Like death.
Yeah,
Oof.
And I was sick pretty much the whole time.
Oh man.
Yeah. It was still wonderful though. I would highly recommend Vietnam. Not Vietnam's fault at all.
Sure, that's true.
Yeah, we're in Ho Chi Minh City and it's really cool there and the food is so good. So that's my pitch for Vietnam. Not all miserable.
That's good.
Yeah.
What was your favorite food there?
It's just really fresh. Like they
Yeah.
have lots of vegetables and like they cook them really well. So just like any sort of vegetable situation, very good.
Nice. There was a vacation that I took in college in the summer. I went with a couple of high school friends to the Outer Banks in North Carolina.
Okay.
Which is the beach. And it was the three of us, like, staying in one of their parents' condo or something. And I had just seen Swingers for the first time, the Vince Vaughn movie. So I was, like, feeling really confident. I was like, we're so buddy. And so we met these, like, two girls on the beach. And one of them one of my friends is very much a ladies' man. So I was like, all right, well, he's going to get, he'll be successful. And then my other friend and I were kind of the more putts of the group. And so, but the girls seemed to be far more interested in me. And I was like, well, sorry, pineapple. Have we done pineapple yet?
Oh,
you
did.
did
No. I did pineapple. Pineapple and mango. So let's do maybe like grape. Yeah. Okay. Sorry, grape.
You have to sit this one out, grape. And so, we're hanging out at the beach for a couple hours, and then it was like, okay, well, why don't we meet up at the pier at like 9:00? It's like, cool.
Yeah.
And so I remember the three of us, went home and showered and all that stuff together, obviously. And then we went out to dinner and we're like, we got ourselves a nice meal. It's like, yeah, this is it. And I'm like, all right. Again, at this point, I think I was still a quasi virgin.
Gotcha.
And I say quasi because I didn't actually finish sexually the first like 4 people I was with.
Gotcha.
So I had to fake it.
Whoa, that's different.
And then I ultimately told myself that it's because, I just wanted to actually have like a connection with the person.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. But it still was a weird like haunting thing where it's like, I'm not a virgin, but I kind of am.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of desperation in my late teens.
Sure.
So anyway, we go to dinner. We meet up with them, and then as soon as we get there, the girl that had been interested in me just completely went to him, my other friend.
She swapped.
Yeah, she swapped.
Ooh.
Now what I did, I do not know.
No.
Maybe she just came to her senses. Like, this guy's a buffoon. My other friend was also doing the I don't think it was an act. I think he genuinely didn't care.
Okay.
And so that can obviously be the,
sometimes that'll do it.
That'll do it. Yeah. And so it was, they were like frolicking about in the ocean.
Sure.
4 of them. And I was just sitting there, how did this happen again? So I decided to go for a walk without wearing any shoes. And so I was walking in the sand, like the sand by, like on the side of the road.
Okay.
It was like, this was a great Zach Braff Garden State walk.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, whoa.
Moping.
Whoa, it's hard.
Yeah.
I don't really have any problems, but I'm going to act like I do.
Yeah.
But I was disappointed in the moment. Anyway, the next morning I wake up with huge red, like swelling feet.
Ooh.
And I couldn't walk.
Oh my God.
And so I was crawling around.
Ugh.
And we tried to just, I was like, no, I'll be fine. And so I remember I had to ride on my lady man friend's back to like go into a restaurant and sit down. And after that, because, he's still like, we're in pickup mode. Like, this isn't going to work. You can't be riding on my back. So we went to an urgent care, which of course is never urgent. I mean, they don't treat it as if it's an urgent situation. So I was there for like 3 hours. Turns out I'd stepped on a bunch of fire ants.
Oh, and you'd been bit?
Yeah.
Oh, that
like
is
a lot.
Brutal. Ooh. That is so brutal.
So they like gave me some steroids, and then I rode on his back to the hotel or back to the condo, and then I couldn't walk. So they were like, "Well, we're gonna go out." So they did.
Left you.
They did, and then I watched Magnolia by myself, the Paul Thomas Anderson movie that's like 3.5 hours, and not particularly uplifting. Very good.
Yeah.
And then they ended up bringing 2 girls home, back to the condo, and we all had our own rooms, thankfully. So then I just had to drown out the sounds, and then we left the next day.
Yeah, wow. That is quite the trip.
So, yeah, that was a good time.
Yeah. That is so brutal. I can't imagine like being stung by a bunch of fire ants.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
I really
so
should have
brutal.
worn my sandals.
Yeah.
I was carrying them.
Oh, so you were really full on mopey boy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. I can't put on my shoes. I need to walk barefoot.
Yeah.
That's depressing. So yeah, that was, and then I think the next summer, my family has a shack on Martha's Vineyard that like my great grandfather built in like the 50s before it was. So it literally is a shack.
Yeah.
In like the middle of the island. And so I went with 2 different friends, kind of with the same expectations, but we went at the beginning of September, which is like the beginning of the off season.
Okay.
Like a hard out for like tourists.
Yeah.
We weren't aware of that. So we got there and it was like totally empty. We just got drunk on the beach.
Hung out with each other. Had some good pal time.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that was also an uneventful romantic getaway. So I'm really lucky that I met my current girlfriend at a summer camp that we were both teaching at.
Oh, cute.
A couple years ago. And I realized that like that it's just hard dating maybe everywhere, but I think particularly in a big city where there's so much competition for people's time.
Yeah.
So it's great to be in a situation where it's like, oh, she's forced to see me every day. Like we're working together.
Yeah.
And then we actually like got to know each other and we're like friends first.
That's cute.
And I think I realized that I work best in a situation where I can just grow on somebody.
Yeah. Yeah. Not so much pressure.
Right. Yeah, exactly. To just like show up at the bar and be like, hi, I'm an amazing person and I've got things going on and this and
Yeah.
So yeah. Thankfully now things are okay.
Yeah. Whew, we did it.
Yeah.
Things are okay.
That's a for this podcast, that's a fairly uplifting place to end, I'd say.
Amazing. Yeah, I feel good about it.
Good. Well, so you've got a bunch of stuff going on.
Oh, thank you.
Which is exciting. Well, you're welcome.
Yeah.
So you're on the Goldbergs?
Yeah, I am.
That's really exciting.
It's been so fun. I'm new to the cast, so I just started in season 6. And everyone has been so nice to me, which is super cool because you never know, with getting on set.
Yeah.
And it's like one of the most fun sets I've ever been on. And funny. The show is funny, which is really cool.
Yeah. Yeah, my girlfriend and I have watched it
Oh, I
already,
love
so
that.
it's nice
Yay.
that I was like, oh yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. It's cool to sort of because I mean I haven't seen you in like 5 years, but we met for
Yeah.
like a day on my web series Average Joe, and I like to check in with the different people who like because it's turned out that like there's a lot of people from that who are doing great things
I love
as
it.
no result of my show, but it's just cool to see like the different people that are doing stuff and
Yeah, it's really cool to see people grow that you've like known.
exactly
So good to see you too.
yeah, you're on my like good for her list.
Yay!
You know what I mean? Where it's just like,
Excellent.
oh, good for her.
Ah, thanks.
Cool. And then where can people find you on social media and stuff?
Sure, it's all at Alexis G Zall, Alexis G, Z's and Zebra, ALL. And then I have a podcast as well called Zall Good with Alexis G Zall, where I bring on guests and I interview their parents, and then based on everything that their parents tell me, I interview the guest. And then what you end up listening to is a spliced together version of those conversations.
That's a great concept.
Thank you. It's been so fun. I love getting to know people from a different perspective.
Right.
And it's really interesting to see like who's on the same page as to how their career got started with their parents and who, because sometimes it's the same story, sometimes it's like two totally different stories, which is really interesting.
Yeah, I bet. Like the different perceptions that they
Yeah.
each carry. Yeah, that's really cool. Well, thanks so much for coming on.
Oh, thanks for having me. It's been a joyous time.
It has been joyous. I agree.
Woohoo!
Bam. That was the episode. I hope you enjoyed it. Really I had a great time talking with Alexis. Brought back some fond memories that I hadn't thought of in a while, but that is the nature of the show. Hopefully it wasn't too graphic for you, and you enjoyed it. If you did, just a reminder, please give us that 5 stars on iTunes. It's greatly appreciated. You can check out badtimesgoodstoriespod.com. Email me at badtimesgoodstoriespodcast@gmail.com. And until next Wednesday, keep laughing.